There, third graders, are you ready for math? I am, and I'm especially excited today because, well, we're going to add on another digit. As you can see, we're working with 4-digit dividends, but no fear. It's nothing that you cannot handle. I am so, and I know I keep on saying this, but I am so proud of the way you guys are working. So today's lesson, but if you can remember why I'm holding this hamburger, it'll help you out. Do you remember what the sentence is? Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers rare? It has nothing to do with being hungry, but it does have everything to do with the steps that we use when we have long division. The first step is we divide. That's what the D stands for. McDonald's, the M stands for multiply. Does McDonald's sell? The S stands for subtract. Does McDonald's sell cheese? That C stands for compare or check, whichever one you want to use. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? After you check or compare, you bring it down. And then after you bring down the next digit in the dividend, you are going to either repeat or you might have a remainder. All right, so that's what this cheeseburger is about. I know some of you said, oh, Mrs. Smith, you need to have a real cheeseburger, but I'm full. I had dinner not too long ago, and I don't want to feel too stuffed, so we'll just have to deal with this paper one. Maybe next time I'll have a burger. All right. Okay, but yes, today's lesson, all we're doing is working with 4-digit dividends. There is not anything new except for just to emphasize we're going to keep our numbers organized. Because if we don't, things can just go awry. All right, so just sit tight, watch the lesson. We're going to begin on page 193 with the word mystery. It says, the Arctic hare, the tundra hare, and the snowshoe hare are the 3 types of hares that live in Arctic tundra. Suppose a population of 1,278 hares is made up of an equal number of the 3 groups. How many of each type of hare would there be? All right, we know step 1 with a math mystery is you identify the question. They want to know how many of each type of hare would there be? Remember, hare is just another name for rabbit. We're not talking about hare. We're not talking about hare. We're talking about little bunny foo-foo. All right, so we're trying to find out how many hare would be in each group. The information that is important is that there's 1,278 of all of the hare in this community, and that there's 3 groups. All right, so they're asking us to take the large group, separate it into 3 separate groups that are of equal size. So that means we divide. All right, so I've written it up here. So let's go ahead and get started and start with our steps. Step number 1 is to divide. I asked myself, how many times can 3 go into 1? Well, it can't go into 1 at all. So I'm going to go ahead and add the next digit. Okay, so I asked myself, 3 can go into 12. How many times? It can go in 4 times. Notice I put the 4 right above the 2 because the 2 is the last digit in the number I'm dividing into, the 12. After you divide, you multiply. 4 times 3 is 12. You subtract. Of course, 12 minus 12 is 0. And then I compare. Is 0 less than 3? Well, of course it is. And so I bring down the next digit. All right, which is the 7. Okay, and again, I like to draw an arrow to help keep myself organized. I can't overemphasize that enough. In long division, you have to be as neat as possible. All right. And then I repeat. Okay, so now it's 7 divided by 3. Well, 3 can go into 7 about 2 times. I write the 2 above the 7. Why? Because that's the digit that I just brought down. After I divide, I multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. And then I subtract. 7 minus 6 gives me 1. And then I compare. Is 1 less than 3? Yes, it is. So I can bring down the next number, which is the 8. Okay? And then I repeat. 18 divided by 3 is 6. That's actually a 3 multiplication fact. So that was really nice. 6. I put the 6 right above the 8 because that's the digit that I'm working with that I just brought down. And then I multiply. 6 times 3 is 18. Okay, and then I subtract. 18 minus 18 is 0. And then I compare. Is 0 less than 3? Well, of course it is. So I'm not going to repeat because there's no other digits in the dividend. So this is simply my remainder. But with it being 0, really it's nothing. All right. So that's our long division. Yes, it has 4 digits in it, but we didn't do anything new, did we? No. All we had was maybe one other step because we had another digit. All right, so let's go ahead and let's review the whole first step, okay, knowing what numbers to divide. For numbers 1 through 4, it says to circle the correct first step, and then it says to write the first digit of the quotient in the correct place. Very important skill. All right, so let's look at number 1. Number 1 is 2,361 divided by 7. All right, so of course we're dividing. I look at the first digit. I ask myself, can 7 go into 2? No, it can't. So I'm going to slide over and include the second digit, 23. All right, so I'm not starting with 2 divided by 7, but I'm starting with 23 divided by 7. Okay, so I'm circling that. And because it's 23 divided by 7, I'm going to write my digit right here above the 3. Okay, so the question is, how many times can 7 go into 23? Thinking of my 7 multiplication facts, it would have to be 3 because 3 times 7 is 21. Notice I put the 3 right above the 3 in 23 because that's the number that I'm dividing into. All right. Okay, let's look at number 2. It's 5,640 divided by 4. All right, I'm going to use blue. No, I'm going to use red. All right, so I look at the first digit. Can I take a group of 4 out of 5? Sure I can. So 5 divided by 4, that's my first step, is I can take a group of 4 out of 5. So where do I put that digit? I'm going to put it right above the 5 because that's the number that I'm dividing into. And 4 goes into 5 one time. Okay, so I will put my 1 right there. Okay, the next one, number 3, 1,075 divided by 2. All right, so let's look at the first digit. 1 divided by 2? No, that's not going to help it because that's 0. So let me go ahead and slide over to include the next digit. It's 10. Can I take groups of 2 out of 10? Sure I can. So this is where I'm going to start dividing. So this is the fact that I'm going to begin with. All right, and how many times can 2 go into 10? 5 times. Notice I'm putting the 5 right above the 0 in the number 10 because that's the number that's being divided into. All right, and then one more. We have 7,415 divided by 9. Okay, beginning with the first digit, it's a 7. Can I take a group of 9 out of 7? No, it would be 0. And putting the 0 here in the front, it really isn't going to serve me any good. So let me go ahead and slide down to the next digit and include it. So I have 74 divided by 9. All right, I definitely can take groups of 9 out of 74. So this is where I'm going to start. So the question is, how many groups of 9 can I take out of 74? I'm going to start with 8 because I know 8 times 9 is 72. All right, I put the 8 right above the 4 because that's the number I'm dividing into. All right, so this exercise right here is just helping us to remember and to understand where my first step is with my division. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and move on to dividing. All right. Okay, this is the next page, and I think this is number 5. Yeah, I'm going to do the first row for you. Okay, we're going to do those together, and then I'm going to leave the others for you to do on your own. All right, so let's start with number 6. We have, I'm not number 6, but the first one is 2,946 divided by 6. First up, I need to divide. Can I take a group of 6 out of 2? No, I can't. So I'm going to include the next digit, which is a 9. Question is, how many groups of 6 can I take out of 29? It can't be 5 because 6 times 5 is 30. That's too much. 6 times 4 is 24. All right, so that's where I'm going to start. So 29 divided by 6 is 4. Again, I'm putting this 4 right above that 9 because that 9 is the last digit in the number that I just divided into. After you divide, we're going to multiply. 4 times 6 is 24. And then, of course, we're going to subtract next. 9 minus 4 is 5, and of course 2 minus 2 is 0. After you subtract, you're supposed to compare. Is 5 less than 6? Of course it is. So I bring it down, all right, and the next digit to bring down is the 4. Okay, I'm going to be very careful to be nice and neat. All right, so now I'm going to repeat, start all over again, but this time it's 54. How many times can 6 go into 54? Well, I can think of a number that hits it right on the head, and the number is 9. Because 9 times 6 is 54. All right. After I multiply, I'm going to subtract. 54 minus 54 is 0. All right, and we're going to compare. Is 0 less than 6? Of course it is. And so I do the next step, which is B, bring down the next digit, which is the 6. I'm sorry, let me say that again. Bring it down. Okay, which is the 6. All right, so here's my 6. And then I repeat. Okay, how many times can 6 go into 6? 1 time. I put the 1 right above the digit that I brought down, the 6. 1 times 6 is 6. I subtract, and it's 0. I want to compare to make sure I have the right number. 0 is less than 6, so we got it right. So instead of repeating, because I don't have any more digits in my dividend, that is simply my remainder. And since it's 0, really wouldn't make any sense to write it. All right, so now we're going to check it. Now remember, in order to check any operation, you do the opposite operation. So if I was adding, to check it I would subtract. If I was subtracting, to check I would add. Well, if I'm dividing, to check I'm going to multiply. And you always multiply the numbers that are outside of the house. Okay, so that would be 491 times 6. Okay, these two numbers on the outside. Leave the number on the inside of the house alone. Okay, all right, let's check. All right, so 491 times 6. All right, group, what is 6 times 1? It's 6. 6 times 9 is 54. I'll write my 4. I bring my 5 up here. And then 6 times 4 is 24. And then I add the 5 is 29. Okay, if I had a remainder, I would add, but I don't have one. But that's okay because 2,946 meet 2,946, your long lost identical twin. All right, so you know what I'm going to say. We nailed it. Love it. All right, never gets old. It is a feeling of satisfaction after you go through all of that division, to go through and to see that you did everything perfectly correct. I mean, it's just gets me excited. All right, so let's go ahead and work with the next one. It's 5,403 divided by 3. All right, let's divide, starting with the first digit. Can I take groups of 3 out of 5? Sure I can. I can multiply 3 times 1 without going over. So I'm going to put my 1 right above the 5 because that's the number that I was dividing by. And now I'm going to multiply. 1 times 3 is 3. I subtract. 5 minus 3 gives me 2. And now I compare. Is 2 less than 3? Of course it is. So I'm going to do the next step. B, I bring it down. And I'm bringing down the 4. That's the very next digit in my dividend. Can't skip anybody. Everybody has to wait their turn in line. All right, and so now I repeat. All right, so now it's 24 divided by 3. Nice, because I can think of a 3 multiplication fact that's equal to 24, and that is, say it louder, it's 8. Very good. I put the 8 right here above the 4 because that's the digit that I brought down. And now I multiply. 8 times 3 is 24. When I subtract, it leaves me with 0, and I compare. Of course, 0 is less than 3, so we got the right number. And so the next step, B, is to bring it down, and I'm bringing down the 0. All right, so now I'm going to R repeat. Now you might say, Mrs. Smith, hold on just a minute. I'm going to repeat the process, so I'm going to divide. All right, 0 divided by 3. I have to think of a multiplication fact that's close to 0 without going over. I can't think of one, can you? 0. Because 0 times 3 is 0. Okay, you either have to match the number or make sure it doesn't go over, and it matches, so that's what we do. We have to place the 0 up here. Zeros are important. They are placeholders. Okay, we know zeros, they in some cases are equal to nothing. In other places, they hold the place of tens or hundreds or thousands. So it's important that, yes, we have to put that 0 up here. After we divide, we multiply. What's 0 times 3? It's 0. We subtract, and of course, 0 minus 0 is 0. We compare again. Is 0 less than 3? Yes. All right, so we bring down the next digit, and it's the 3. All right, there we go. And then we R repeat. We're going to start the process all over again. 3 divided by 3. Well, of course, that's 1. Notice I put the 3 right here above the 3. And the reason why I said, of course, is 1 because 1 times 3 is 3. I subtract, and it's equal to 0. I have to compare, make sure that I didn't do anything incorrectly. 0 is less than 3. So I would next bring down the next digit, but there isn't any. So instead of repeating the process, I have a remainder, in a sense, because it's 0. All right, so is it correct? All right, you saw I don't have my teacher's manual book. It's just the book that you have. So let's check it. We're going to multiply the numbers that are outside of the house. So it's 1,801 times 3. All right, let's see what happens. All right, 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 8 is 24. I'll write my 2. Bring my other 2 up here. 3 times 1 is 3, but we have to add on 2. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5,403. 5,403. And we nailed it. All right, one more. One more we'll do together, and then it'll be your turn to show what you can do. All right, we have 2,717 divided by 8. All right, let's start with the first digit. Can you take a group of 8 out of 2? No, you can't. All right, so we're going to include the next digit, which is 27. All right, so 27 divided by 8. It can go in about 3 times. Again, notice I'm putting my 3 right above the 7 because that's the number we're dividing into. 3 times 8 is 24. After I multiply, I have to subtract. All right, 7 minus 4 is 3. And then, of course, 2 minus 2 is 0. Now that I've subtracted, I'm going to compare. Is 3 less than 8? Well, of course it is. So we picked the right number. So the next step is to bring it down. And the next digit is the 1. Okay. All right. So now we repeat. We're going to start all over again. 31 divided by 8. So I have to think of an 8 multiplication fact that's close to 31 without going over, because I don't have an 8 multiplication fact that's exactly 31. So I have to estimate. I'm thinking I'm going to have to go with the 3 again, because 8 times 4 is 32. Even though it's really close, it's too much. So I have to go with my 3. I'm writing the 3 right above the 1 that I brought down. 3 times 8 is 24. Okay, now it's time for me to subtract. I can't subtract 4 from 1, so I have to regroup. So instead of having 3 groups of 10, I have 2. And of course, whenever you take a group of 10, you break it up into its pieces, it always breaks up into 10 parts. So the 10 plus the 1 that I had here already is going to give me 11. Okay, now 11 minus 4 is 7. And then 2 minus 2 is 0. All right, now it's time for me to compare. Is 7 less than 8? Really close, but yeah, as long as it's less than, you're fine. Okay, so the next step after I compare is to bring it down. And the next digit is my 7. I know it's the 7 because with my arrow, it helps me keep track. Again, it's good practice to use to help keep yourself organized. So I bring down the 7. And I'm going to repeat the whole process. Now I'm working with 77 divided by 8. All right, so I'm thinking of my 8 multiplication facts, and 8 times 9 is 72. So I'm writing my 9 right here above the 7 that I brought down. 9 times 8 is 72. After I multiply, I subtract. All right, 7 minus 2 is 5, and of course 7 minus 7 is 0. So I need to compare. Is 5 less than 8? Yes, it is. So I would bring down another digit, except for I don't have any more. I've used them all up. So instead of repeating, 5 is my remainder. All right, question is it correct? I hope so. How can we find out? We can multiply. All right, so we're going to multiply the numbers that are outside of the house. So we have 339 times 8. All right, here we go. All right, 8 times 9 is 72. Here's my 2. I'll bring my 7 up here. And then 8 times 3 is 24. 24 plus 7 is 31. Okay. excuse me. And then 8 times 3 is 24. 24 plus 3 is 27. Oh, Mrs. Smith, they don't match. But do not fear. I have a remainder. If you have a remainder, you just simply add it on. So I'm going to put my 5, because that was my remainder, and I'm going to add it on. 2 plus 5 is 7. 1 plus 0 is 1. 7 plus 0 is 7. 2 plus 0 is 2. I'm going to put my comma here. And bam! What? My two numbers match, which means we nailed it. All right. So, like I said, there was not any new lesson today. If anything, the skill of being organized and keeping your work neat and in order. And we know God tells us to do all things decently in order. So I'm not asking you to do anything that God doesn't expect us to do anyway. All right, so just continue dividing, multiply, subtract, compare, bring it down. And then repeat or either have a remainder. Those are the 6 steps. Okay, and then to check it, you're just going to multiply the numbers that are outside of the house, the quotient and the divisor. Multiply those 2 numbers together, and then if you have a remainder, add them. And your result should be the same as your dividend. As long as that happens, you've nailed it. All right, so class, all I'm asking you to do is to continue working on number 5, those last 3 items that are on the page. And then for numbers 6 through 9, each one of those you're going to divide as well. All right? Okay. After you get done, I've left a document that you can compare your answers to see how you did. Leave me a message. Say, Mrs. Smith, I nailed it. Or maybe you missed one. Or Mrs. Smith, I don't nail it at all. So I can answer any questions, okay, or help you out. All right. Until then, I will see you guys later. Keep on working hard, 3rd grade, so that later we can play hard. All right. See you later. Bye.